Figuras, ¿cómo están? Otra vez aquí con su episodio de Play Sports Podcast. En esta ocasión estamos con un muy buen amigo de nuestra academia. Ha estado con nosotros ya más de un año y nos visitó en México y estuvo en Monterrey también y estará con nosotros en este marzo del 2023. Él es Andre Luciano. Andre, thank you for being here with us.
Eugenio, thank you so much. It's always a pleasure to be around you and be in your company and in Jaime's as well. So welcome to the U.S. and welcome to Philadelphia.
Thank you. I was telling the audience that we are like friends from like a year ago. We started being in the ID camp in Mexico. It was a great experience, but the people that hearing us doesn't know what you do for a living or who is Andre.
So I am a former college coach. I spent 25 years coaching at the Division I level in the NCAA, and former Division I player at Indiana University. I also played at a junior college in Arizona called Yavapai. So I've been around the collegiate game for a really long time, and once I retired, I decided to go into the business of helping players get placed into different universities across the country.
Nice. And right now, your full-time job is?
I am a senior staff member at Sports Recruiting USA.
That's why, and that's way we connected, right?
That is how we connected through the event in Mexico City.
So, Andre, we have to talk about getting scholarships in the States. I already talked about 2 years ago with Don, but the same questions, the same situation come over and over and over again. You have been in touch with the Mexican culture. You understand more the Mexican culture. You see the questions they have, and sometimes you didn't get it because Mexicans are unique.
Yes.
So, on your point of view, what do you think that the Mexican kids players most focus on the first thing?
Well, I think that there is there's a certain standard that in Mexico everybody has, and from what I've understood is that there's 2 universities that everybody looks at in Mexico as the standard. And from my personal experience, the idea is, if I'm going to come study in the United States, I want to study at a school that is similar to the ones that I might be able to get into in Mexico.
Okay.
Because, the perception is that
you can say it.
I can say it?
Yeah, don't worry.
So okay.
So
I think there's not a lot of understanding of what really the system is in the U.S. and what each university system is, and what the amount of money there is out there for college soccer.
Okay.
So there are 3 different divisions or organizations. There's the NCAA, which everybody understands.
Yes.
Right, the big schools, Division I.
More common. Right?
More common schools that everybody sees on TV, on different broadcasts of football games, basketball games, or even soccer games. There's Division II, Division III that are in those NCAA brackets. So for the men's side in Division I men's soccer, there's 9.9 scholarships. That is a total of 9.9 scholarships for the whole team. And those scholarships
must be divided
amongst those players that are within the team. Some teams have rosters of 24 players. Some teams have rosters that they have 30 players. And there's even some teams that have a roster of 50 players, and they have an A, B, and a reserve team. Division II, 9 scholarships. Division III, no scholarships for athletics.
Wow.
There is academic scholarships, which every division sponsors, but every school is different in terms of the different types of awards they give academically.
Yeah.
Then there's the NAIA, which is also a 4-year school organization. Typically smaller liberal arts colleges, a little bit smaller sizes, 1,500 to 3,000 students. Good organizations, good soccer, good facilities for a lot of them. And then there is the NJCAA, which is the 2-year schools. And I think that's the biggest struggle I've had so far, is educating the people in Mexico. What is NJCAA versus NCAA versus that? So if you look at it this way, right?
We can say that, say this. Everybody in Mexico, the minimum standard is el Tec de Monterrey.
I'm not going to sponsor a school or
No.
Okay, so yes.
I can say it, but the minimum standard that every player has in mind is, if I go better than Tech, I can go. If I don't get a better university than Tech, I will stay in Mexico. You don't say it, I say it. Don't worry.
Okay.
So the junior college is, explain us why should they take a career in the junior college?
Okay. So I played at a junior college. So I'm going to tell the story. So when I came out of high school, I was not recruited by anybody. I was told that I was not ready to play Division I. And that was the only thought process. I was going to go to a bigger school. And so I had to take a gap year, which is you take a year off from going to college. And I was given an opportunity by a 2-year school to come in and play. So what was great for me was that I was able to go to school. It cost less. I was still getting the education that I needed to continue. But we won a national title at junior college. I was National Player of the Year, which opened the door for me to go to a big university, a 4-year school.
Okay.
And I think that the thing that I really want to highlight is in the U.S., academically, if you're looking at year 1, year 2, year 3, year 4, the classes, year 1, year 2, they're all 100 level, 200 level, introduction classes. And
basically, it's the same every place.
Clases base, right? The basics.
Tronco común.
What's it called?
Tronco común.
Tronco común, okay. So everyone is taking the same tronco común classes for the most part. In the U.S., you're going to have to do mathematics. You're going to have to do English. You're going to have to do, some liberal arts classes like history. You're going to do sciences, biology, chemistry. You're going to have a variety of different classes that everybody would call a liberal arts block, so that everybody has the same academic standards across the board.
Okay.
Level 3, level 4, 300, 400 level, those are your third and fourth year classes that you're taking. Okay. Those are the classes that you're taking for specialization. Why I think it's very, very important is that from my interactions with the students in Mexico, it seems like there's 2 tracks that everybody wants to go into: business or engineering, right?
Yes, the most common.
The most common majors.
Traditional,
right?
Cultural thing. I don't know why.
Yeah. So in the U.S., the students in the U.S. have a tendency to look at a much bigger variety of different types of majors to study from.
Okay.
And so the first 2 years, we call those kind of like an exploratory first 2 years academically, so that you can make a decision based on your classes that you have taken in your first year and your second year to understand what your true passion is and what you're good at.
Okay.
And so the first 2 years, we basically give the students the freedom to choose which way they want to go, one way or the other. So some person that might say, hey, I want to do engineering. They take some engineering classes and they're like,
no.
I'm horrible in mathematics. Well, the last thing I want is somebody that's horrible, in physics and to be building something for me, right?
Yeah, of course.
Same thing with business. I'm horrible as an accountant or something. You don't want that person handling your money, right?
Yes, of course.
So I think the perception is that in Mexico is that if you go to a 2-year school, you're going to a trade school. Like you're going to be an electrician,
yes,
a plumber, a mechanic, a builder.
Because in Mexico, the junior college,
community college,
they think that they're like plumbers, electricians, and everything.
And which is there's nothing wrong, because the world needs plumbers and electricians and everything. But what it does, it gives you, in the U.S., it's different because there's a lot of states like California.
Yes.
You have so many students applying. Like, give you an example. Like UCLA, I spoke to their coach. They had 120,000 applicants
100.
last year
Wow.
to get into UCLA, University of California, Los Angeles.
Like a student. Not
Students,
Okay.
120,000 applicants.
Oh, that's too much.
And they don't give out any financial money. Right?
Why?
Because they have,
Too much.
there's 120,000 applicants. If they give money to everybody, the school goes, it's broke. It's bankrupt.
But they have a scholarship, right?
For athletics, yes. And you have to be maybe the elite of the elite students with scores, test scores, and everything else.
An elite player.
An elite player as well. Now, there are some universities in the U.S. that actually, this is general students, not student athlete like a soccer player, a football player, that will tell, some university will say, in order for you to get into the school, you should go to a junior college for 2 years and then come when you're ready to go for the third and fourth year, because we don't have room for you right now. Because the first 2 years, a lot of kids decide to maybe not be at the school anymore.
Really?
Yeah. I mean,
I didn't know that.
Yeah, so we call it the retention ratio. Retention, right? How many people come back from those schools? So if you can spend your first 2 years at a junior college, you know what you want to study. You have an idea.
Mm-hmm.
When you go to your third and fourth year, you're just taking your direct path of what you want your career to be.
But let me set an example. I choose a junior college for my 2 years. I'm in the end of my 2 years. I didn't get selected by any other team or college.
Well, let's put this in perspective. Division I, only 2 to 3% of all American players across the whole country get selected to play Division I.
Okay.
Division II, about 2 to 3% of all American players.
Wow.
Division III, same. So the number is 5 to 6% of all high school seniors, last year seniors,
Yes, it is.
play 4-year school at 4-year schools. That is an incredibly small number of people that get the opportunity to do that.
Wow.
So a lot of other people take the junior college route. They go there, and here's the last part. You have to be good at what you do. If you're a good player and you become an All-American, All-Conference, a very big, high-impact player, then you will move on.
Okay.
For the most part. But what if you go to a 4-year school and the first 2 years you don't play and you're on the bench because you have senior player, junior player, second-year player that's playing ahead of you?
You're going to be...
What do you do? You're not happy because you came to the school because you want to play football and you want to study. Yes, you're studying.
Yes.
But you're training every day.
Not playing.
And you're basically on the reserve team.
Okay.
So what is your experience in the U.S. if you come to the school and you're not playing?
Bad.
And the reason you came to the U.S. that go to that school is to play.
Yes.
So that's why I always say, look, be very open to everything. Do not have your mind set solely on certain schools. Because the other problem, too, is sometimes the schools are very selective, and they have, academically, and they have the ability to recruit any player from the world.
But that's my question. What happened to the player that choose a junior college and maybe after the 2 years didn't get no chance to be in a 4-year college? What happened to him?
The reality is, Eugenio,
Yeah.
is that if you're not playing if you're at a 4-year school and you are not playing by the end of your sophomore year, chances are they're going to have a conversation with you. Look, it's maybe time for you to go find somewhere else.
No, but maybe I'm not asking the right question. The question.
No, what
is,
happens to that player? That player has now to make a decision.
Mexican guy goes to the junior college. He's playing. He do well, but he didn't get any scholarship in another.
Most players. So with SRUSA, we also work with transfers. A lot of transfer students.
Okay.
Universities want players that have experience.
Okay.
So part of our job is to help those players move on. But one of the big things for us is that we don't just try to place you at any other school. We try to place you at schools that we know are going to help you progress in your development.
Okay.
And it's one of the things why, I wanted to come to Monterrey and watch teams play, watch teams train.
Yes.
And so that I have the ability to assess, like, you can play at this level. You know, you're going to be very successful, you know, at this level. But the hard part is sometimes is that the budget, because schools in the United States can range from anywhere from between $82,000
Oh, yes.
to maybe 25,000 to 10,000.
What that cost? What does it cover?
The tuition,
Okay.
the cost to go and study, room, which is where you live,
Where you live?
and your board, you know, for food,
Food.
and then books. I think sometimes when I speak to families and I talk about tuition, and then I talk about where's your son going to live or your daughter going to live if they're here in Monterrey and they go to Monterrey Tech, right?
Yeah.
At home. Well, how much does it cost you to feed your son or your daughter while they're at home?
Yes.
When you do the math and you put it together,
It's almost the same.
It's almost the same, right?
It's difficult to have 100% full scholarship, right?
Yes.
100% board, housing, food.
You better
tuition.
be a special player, and we call it impact player, that you're going to come in. If you are a forward, you're going to score goals.
Okay.
If you're a high midfielder, you're going to be a high-level midfielder. If you're going to be a center back, a high-level center back that's going to come in and play immediately.
Nice. So, how many impact players have you seen in this type of career that you're having?
So I coached 25 years. I probably gave 3, 4 maybe total.
Full,
Maybe total, over 25 years.
and
And the reason being is because I only had a limited amount. You can't.
you have 9.
You have
scholarship.
9.9. So what do you do? That player better be special.
If the player is not special and you give him like 25 or 50%, the coaches take it back?
Well, they can't take it back based on athletic ability, because you made a poor decision as a coach.
Oh, you have
right?
to
You have to honor it.
4 years.
However, coaches usually have conversations with players and they say, listen, you're not going to play here. You can keep your money, but you're not going to play. You will have to sit for 4 years.
Damn.
Yeah, it's very cutthroat. And in
Like
that time,
a professional level.
and that's the part, Eugenio, I think the amount of work you have to do and understand that you're almost like a professional. It is 20 hours a week, 6 days a week, 1 day off, plus 20 hours of studying, plus 15 hours of going to classes. It is a full-time job.
You have to be, I told my students in Monterrey that you have to be really, really, really engaged in this process, because it's not going to be like, I'm in high school, I'm playing soccer. And no, it's going to be like a full-time job.
Yeah, you're very busy for 4.5 months.
And
you
then
have a little time off, you come home, but you have to be ready to go all the time. It's a year long. It's like being a professional. You have a little bit of a holiday break, but during the holiday break, you still have to maintain your fitness.
Yes.
You have to maintain your academics. It's a very, very rewarding experience, because I think from what I've tried to pass the message, it's not just about the football or trying to be a professional. But if you come to the United States to study, it's about the connections that you make, and the internships abilities that you might be able to have based on afterwards or even during school, and how that can impact you for the rest of your life.
Yes.
Because if you come to the U.S. and you're going to school and you establish some really good connections, and business, people help each other, right?
Yes.
They have a tendency, being alumni, because once you're an alumni, you're family of that university. And a lot of universities actually really help a lot with alumni in terms of trying to help them find jobs after college.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah.
So, okay, and many of our Mexican audience is thinking about 4 or 3 universities or college.
In Mexico.
In Mexico, no, in the States.
In the States,
The
okay.
Mexicans that are hearing us, they thinking about, I'm going to say it, you're going to say it, I can say it, right?
Yeah, you say whatever you want to say. It's your podcast.
They think about Harvard, UCLA, Penn University, all the big names because they see it in the TV. The marketing of those universities are very good. So the Mexican is always thinking about that special university. Can you explain us why it's too difficult to be in those universities? Why they have to understand that it's gonna be difficult?
Because the acceptance rate is very low. Some of these schools have a 3% to 4% acceptance rate. So let's say you have
Because the acceptance
because
rate-
let's say you have 100 applicants.
Okay,
They're going to only accept 2 or 3 based out of the academic standards.
but the general,
General public. So
not football.
So this is the part that is difficult, is that there's 2 components. There's the academic standard. Can they get in academically? And can they play for us and make an impact on my team? Because some of these higher end schools, like the Ivy Leagues, they only have a certain amount of slots that they're given by the university to use for their soccer team.
Okay.
So they say, hey, this year you only get 4 or 5. That's it, 6 slots maybe total for the year.
But for slots, maybe they cannot give scholarship, not just.
Ivy Leagues, there's no scholarships at.
Sorry, yeah.
So you get not just you have 5 or 6 different opportunities for your team.
To select one.
You better pick your 5 or 6 that you really want.
So
Because we will help. We will help. In the admissions aspect of things.
playing soccer.
Well, maybe they get in because of the soccer aspect in terms of like, hey, it's a combination of this. They're an athlete, but not every kid can get in to the school, and not every kid can play at that school. So some kids, I tell them,
And pay.
right? Because it's really expensive.
Yeah.
And depending on what your income is as a family, there's a big difference,
Yes.
right? So I always just try to explain to everybody that you can go to that school, but that's not going to guarantee you that you can play at that school as a football player.
Yes.
Some schools, you can go play at that school, but maybe that's not the education that you want. So what we try to do is to try to find as good of a fit as we possibly can. A lot of it is just really understanding what the family wants, what the player wants. But it's really about making sure that the player and the family understands what the commitment level is, how hard it is, and what the opportunities are out there. We can call coaches, but if they say no, there's nothing we can do. A lot of coaches were arrested because, the pay the money and they get them into the school. It's not a system where, whatever money you have is going to get you whatever you want.
Yes.
It's a very different system. It's a little bit more locked in.
So let me put an example so maybe they can understand us. If you are a very good player and not very good student,
You're probably going to the junior college route
junior college.
because the academic standards, because the NCAA and these organizations have academic standards as well.
Okay.
You probably should go the junior college route because it gives you, the junior colleges have they're a little bit more forgiving about your academic experience, and it's an opportunity to start again.
To begin.
To begin again. And that's what happened with me. I wasn't a great student because, no era muy serio con mis estudios, And so it gave me an opportunity to become a little bit more serious, a little bit more focused. And I left the junior college, the community college, the Yavapai, with very good academic grades. And it allowed me to go to a 4-year school. If I didn't go to the junior college, I would have not gone to a 4-year school.
And if you are not a perfect player, you're a good student where you can be. Good student.
You know,
Ace,
you,
ace,
yeah.
ace. 95%.
You know, Eugenio, there's a saying in the U.S., and I don't know what the saying is in Mexico, but beauty lies in the eye of the beholder.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So one person might evaluate one way, another person might evaluate the other way. Every coach is different in terms of their need.
Yes.
And we talk about need versus want. I need this type of player, and they might have some criteria that they say, I could sacrifice this if they have these qualities.
Okay.
Right? So it just really depends. Some player might be strong physically,
And
but not technically great. I need a strong bull in a china shop,
Yeah.
kind of player. Some coaches might say, I need an artist, somebody that can create and they can make things happen. I'm okay with them not defending as much. They're not as big of a defensive presence because they create a lot.
Nice.
No one expects Neymar to be a defender,
No.
right?
Yeah,
They don't. So it just depends on the need and the
coach.
eye of the coach, right? And the difficulty for, I think, the players in Mexico is how do they get seen? How do they get exposed to these coaches? And I've tried very, very hard to educate that the coaches need to see you play.
Video.
Not just just with video, which has been the hardest thing, is if you are in Mexico and your club is not doing video analysis, you have to find a way to get yourself filmed, because it is very difficult to have you seen by a university coach here in the U.S. And the best way video I can say, when you go to the movies, you have the previews of the other movies.
Yes.
That is your job, is to captivate my attention in that video so that I say, hey, I want to see more.
Yes.
Right? And then to get seen in person. So whether you're at Dallas Cup or some other event, or if you are going to a camp in the U.S., a camp and you showcase yourself.
Perfect. So, Andre, I think getting the hour of the show, and
yeah,
I wanna conclude this by saying, I remember you telling me in Mexico City that the most important thing about this is wanting to go. You have to want to go, no because it's like, okay, it's the next thing. No, you have to be willing to sacrifice a lot of things and continue working on it.
You have to be brave to do this.
Yeah.
You're going to a foreign country, meeting new people, different experience. You're going away from home.
It's not going to be easy.
Which is not easy, right? You have to do your own laundry. You have to do your own cooking. You have to be managing your bank account. You have to, there's a lot of different things that are going to be different. So it takes a little bit of courage. It takes
Yes.
a lot of courage.
A lot of courage.
A lot of commitment. And you have to have a seriousness behind the academics. And not just coming to the U.S. to go, to parties and things like that. You have to come in with the commitment to do well academically, but also athletically. And then also to buy into understanding that you're getting another cultural experience. That's the big thing.
So I always say to our students, work on your football, work in your mind, and work on in your grades. Grades is very important, right?
Yeah, and I have 4 Fs.
Okay?
All right? Your family,
Yes?
your faith, your friends, and your football.
Nice.
Take care of your 4 Fs.
And you're
going to be okay.
You'll be okay. Andre, thanks again being with us. It was amazing. I think that this will help a lot of the kids that are hearing this.
And I look forward to coming down to Monterrey in March.
In March, I'm going to say it in Spanish. En marzo tendremos entrenadores de diferentes universidades de Estados Unidos. André va a ser el embajador y nos va a traer. No pierdan la oportunidad de estar en el SU Soccer Insane Weekend en Allende, marzo 3 al 5 del 2023. André, thank you a lot for being here again.
Gracias, Eugenio.
See you in March.
Buena suerte con todo.
See you in March.
Okay, thank you.
Nos vemos, figuras.